Hello everyone, welcome to the Mercury Virtual. Hope you are doing good. Today I am going to continue with your same module, that is the object-oriented programming, and the chapter number 5, that is the same chapter, that is the classes and the object. In the last class we have discussed some basic examples like examples of class, what are the various member functions, data member functions. Now I'm going to continue with the same chapter but with the new concept, that is how to declare the object as an array, that is the arrays of objects. So first of all, let's take what we have covered in the last class, then move to the next part, that is today's topic. So first of all, let's take today's topic, that is today's part, uh, what we have covered in the last class, then move to the today's topic. So let's start the session. In the last class we have seen about the class sample or sample example, that is how to access the example of the sample, or how to access the example of the sample, or how to access the class, that is a simple class example. There is a class that is an item, and there is a number and the cost. So there are two parts, one is a number, one is the cost, right? And there is a public declaration, that is a get data and the put data. So there are two parts, one is the get data and one is the put data. So that means this is a private, that means the data members are private, and publicly these are two declared, that is the get data and the put data. Then we have discussed how to create the objects. There are multiple options to create the objects. Then there are multiple options like how to create the objects, and why we are using the objects. That is how to access the various objects. That is for example class item. Then there are two members. There are two parts. One is the data. One is the members. One is the get data and one is the put data. So there are two parts that is used. One is the get data and one is the put data. Then we have discussed how to declare the various member, that is used for the declaration of the various parts. That is how to use the various member that is connected with the various tested, that is the objects, that is like the variable that is used, and these variables are nothing but the or these are the known as the objects of the classes, right? So this says object can also be created when a class is defined and it's used by replacing their name immediately. So it is defined when a class is used and it is replaced immediately whenever it is used. Then we have discussed how to access the class members. It is simply accessed by using the dot operator with the object name. For example, if we have created the object A, that means A dot put data and the A dot get data. So that is dot operator is used for accessing the data members or the member functions. So this is the syntax that we have discussed. There is an object name, the dot function name, then there is a actual arguments. Now this is we have discussed, and then we have discussed how to define the member function. So one is a data members, one is a member function. Now at which place we have to define the member function, that is the next part, that is defining the member functions. So it can be defined in two places, that is outside the class definition or inside the class definition. These can be defined in two places, that is outside the class and inside the class. So when it is declared outside the class, it is normally used, that is the outside the class. So this says how it is used. There is a syntax that we have studied. There is a return type, that is how the object is returned. Then there is a class name, then there is a function name, then there is an argument list, then there is a function body. So first of all there is a return type, then there is a class name, then function name, and then the argument declaration. Then this scope resolution tells the compiler which function name will belong to which class name. So these are the various examples that is used. One is the get data and one is the put data. So this is that's the get data, and one is the put data that is used. Then how it is used inside the, or how the member functions are defined or declared inside the class definition. This is the example. So this is just like an inline function when it is declared inside the class, because it is declared inside the class that is a part of the public place. So it is like much like the inline function that is used. This is the way how it is used. That is a put data, and there are two numbers, there are two values that is displayed. One is the number and one is the cost. And when the function is defined inside the class, it is treated as an inline function. Then we have studied a C++ program with the class. That is how to use the C++ program with the class. This is just the class example, and this is the basic how it is used. There is a class, then there is an item, then number, cost that is defined, and two member functions are defined. That is defined. One member function is defined outside the class, one is defined inside the class. So get data is defined outside the class, and the put data is defined inside the class. So it is defined inside the class, and there are two parts that is to be displayed. One is the number, one is the cost. So one is the number, one is the cost, and there is a number equals to A and cost equals to B. That is by default it is used. Then this is a int main, then object will be created, that is X, then cout object X, then X dot get data and X dot put data. That is one object is used to refer to the or to access to the two member function. One is the get data and one is the put data. Get data is used for getting the value or storing the values in the memory, and put data is used to display on the screen. So this is what we have covered in the last class. And then how to make an outside function inline. That is, if I want that I have to define the function not inside the class but outside the class, but we have to define the function as an inline function. Then how it gets possible? By simply using the keywords inline. So whenever we use the keyword inline, so it is used or it is defined or it is used as an inline functions. Then nesting of member function, that is how to nest the member function, that is a one member function within another member function. This is a namespace, then class set, then m and n, then public, void input, void display, int largest. So there are three parts. One is the set, that is the largest. One is the largest function, input function. So this is how it is used inside the another function. That is a one member function is defined inside another member function. So this is inside the another member function, that is the largest is defined within the display function. Then how to access the private member function, that is the next topic that we have discussed. We have discussed till now that the member function, that is a public part or that is a public visibility mode, that can be accessed very easily. But what when we define the member functions as a private? How can I do? So this is the example. How can we do? This simply uses the this one, that is simply use the update, that is a void sample read function, that is simple use, no object used. Then arrays within a class, that is how to use the array within the class. So this is just the way how the array will be used. There is a constant int size equals to 10 that provides the value for the array size. That is a constant int size equals to 10. Then there is a class array. Then there are two members. One is the private, one is the public, and the private contains the array, that is int a size, and the size contains the 10, and the public that contains the two member functions. One is the set value, that is the set val, one is the display. And this is how this will be used, or how each and every member function will be defined. Then we have discussed how to allocate the memory, that is a memory allocation for the object, that is how to allocate the memory in the, or how to take the, or how object take the space in the memory, that is the memory allocation for the object. So this is the way. For one object there is the memory allocation for the member variable 1, member variable 2. For object 2 there is a member variable 1, member variable 2. So for every object the memory will be created when the objects are created. So whenever the objects are created, every memory will be created, or every memory will be transferred, or memory will be occupied. Then next is static data members, that is a static data members, or what is a static data members. So a data member of a class can be qualified as a static. The properties of a static member variable are very similar to the static C static variable. So this is just like similar to the C static variable that is used. A static member variable have following characteristics, have several characteristics. So what are the characteristics? Like C programming language, first of all it is initialized to 0 when the first object of the class is created. So first of all it is initialized to the 0. Then next point says only the one copy of that member is created for the entire class. That is, it is initialized to 0 and only one copy is created, no other copy is created, and that single copy is accessed or shared by all the objects of that class. Then it is visible only within the class, but its lifetime is the entire program. Then this is the static class member that is used. This is the example that we have discussed, that how the count reaches to the 3 by simply allocating the 3 times, that is it is copy to the 3 times or 3 times when the object is created. At one place one object is created, second object and the third object. So there are 3 parts, that's why the count reaches to the 3. Then static member function, that is what is the static member functions, how the static member function will be used, that the static member functions. So a static function can have access to only one or only other member functions that are used, that have a very other static variable, and that can be called using the class name, like any other object that can be used for getting the object name, that is used as a various option that is used as a static member functions. Now this is the array of object, that is the today's topic. So we start with the today's topic, that is how to create the object as an array. Till now we have discussed that this will be used, the object will be used, and the object will create. Now it is a time to consider how the object will be used, or how we are using the objects as an array. So that is the array of objects. So we know that an array can be of any data type, including struct. Similarly, we can also have array of variable that are type class. So we can create the objects as an array also. Such variables are known as the array of objects. Consider the following class definition. There is the class employee, then there is a char name 30, that is a one variable that is used, that is a name is name, that is of character type, that means it's a string that is of 30 characters. So it's a string that is assigned a 30 characters from 0 to 29, right? Then there is a float age, that is in the next part is age, that is the next part or the next variable that is used. Then there is a two member functions, one is the get data and one is the put data. So two member functions are used, one is the get data member function and one is the put data member function. So there are two data members and there are two member functions. Data members are name and the age, and the member functions are get data and the put data, right? Then the identifier that is used, employee, is used as a return type, or it is a user defined data type. So employee is a class, so that is a user defined data type, that is a class, and can be used to create objects that relate to different categories of the employee. For example, this is the example. There is an employee and the variable or the object that is created, that is the name is the manager, and it contains three values from 0 to 2. That's the array. So it's an object name is manager, but it is of, or it contains three values. So it starts from 0, it ends with the 2. So it is an array. So this is known as the array of objects, that is creating the objects as an array, that is known as the array of objects. Another object that is created is foreman, that contains the 15 values, that is an array of foreman, that is creating the object with 15 members or 15 values from 0 to 14, and the object name is foreman. In the same way, there is an employee, there is a worker, that means worker is the name of the object that contains 75 values, that is from 0 to 74. This says the array manager contains three objects. That is a array manager means a manager array contains three objects, that is manager 1, manager 2, sorry, manager 0, manager 1 and the manager 2. Why it starts from 0? Because array always starts from the 0, right? That is of type employee class. So this array, that is a manager, is of type class, or it is of object of the employee class. Similarly, the foreman array contains 15 objects and the worker array contains 75 objects. Right? Since an array of objects behave like any other array, we can use the usual array accessing methods to access individual elements and then the dot member operator to access the member function. So simple, it is used or it is defined as an array element to access the individual element. Then the dot operator to access the member function. So this is used like this one. This is manager I. Use the looping, that is I. So first of all, it starts from 0 to 3, or there is a looping that is used. There is a condition that is used as a 0 to 9 or 0 to 10 or 0 to 3. That is a manager I. Then dot put data. That is put data is a member function that is used. So manager I dot put data. So first of all, it consider the manager 0, then manager 1, then manager 2. And dot operator is used for accessing the member functions. So it will display the data of the ith element of the array manager. That is, this statement requests the object manager I to invoke the member function put data. In the similar way, an object is stored in the memory. In the similar way, an array object is also stored inside the memory in the same way as in the multidimensional array. So it is stored from starting from the 0 as a normal array contains. Note that only the space for the data items of the object is created. Member functions are stored separately and will be used by all the objects. This is manager 0, then this is manager 1, this is manager 2. And there are two parts, one is the name, one is the age, that is used for the manager 0, name and the age for manager 0, for manager 1, name and the age for manager 2. So this is the how the array of objects, or the object will be considered as an array and it is stored in the memory. So this illustrates the use of the object arrays. This is example, that is an array of object example. The header file is used, IOStream, namespace std, that is a standard. Then there is a class that is defined, that is the employee. There is a string that is used as a class member, data member, that is of 30. So this is char name 30. So name is also contains a string that starts from 0 and with the 29. So it contains 30 values or 30 strings or 30 characters, right? Then there is a float age, that is the next member is data member is age, that is a float. Then publicly two member functions are defined. One is the get data and one is the put data. Get data is used for getting the input from the user and put data is used for storing on the memory. And the return type is nothing and the argument is nothing over here. Then the class will be closed and there will be a closing closing semicolon or a semicolon, right? Now the member functions are defined separately outside the class. So first of all, there is a void employee. So this is the return type, this is the class name employee, there is a scope resolution operator, then there is a get data void. Get data means getting the data, or get data is a member function, that is a get data, and there is a void, that is a argument list, right? Then cout, enter the name, that is entering the name from the user, that is enter the name that is accessed by the user. So first of all it enters the name, then it enters the age. So first of all it gets the input from the user, that is enter the name, and then store in the memory. So with the help of cout it is displayed on the screen, and with the help of cin it is stored in the memory. So cout, enter the name, then cin name, then cout, enter the age, then cin age. So this is only used for getting the data from the user. Then next is put data, that is void employee, scope resolution operator, put data, then void. That is return type is void and the class name employee, then there is the scope resolution operator, then put data void. Then simply print on the screen, that is cout name equals to name. Whatever the value that is given by the user, that is displayed on the screen. So that is cout name equals to name, then cout age equals to age. Next, a constant variable is defined that is of integer type and the variable name is size, that is size equals to 3. Then there is a int main that is used, and then there is a employee manager size, that is a manager is a name of the object that is used. So manager size, that is size equals to 3, because it is already defined as a constant value that do not change during the program. So its value is 3, so this is manager 3, right? That is array contains, or the object contains 3 values, and there is a looping that is used, for loop is used. So it starts from 0, that is int I equals to 0, I is less than size I plus plus. So there are 3 parts. It starts with the 0, it ends with the size, and there is a I plus plus. So this is from 0, 1, 2. Why? Because it is less than 3. So it starts from 0 and with the 2. So this is first of all, when I equals to 0, then details of manager I plus 1, then manager I, that is a manager 0 dot get data. So at the first place there is a manager 0, that is dot get data, that is used for accessing the, or getting the data into the, or getting the data from the user, that is dot get data, that is getting the data from the user, that is at the 0th location, that is a manager 0, that is name and the age, right? Then cout slash n, that is a going to the next line. Then for I equals to 0, I is less than size I plus plus, then cout manager I plus 1, manager I dot put data. So first of all, this is 0, the condition is true, 0 is less than 3. Why 3? Because size is 3. 0 is less than 3, condition is true. Simply call the function that is a get data. Get data, that is entering or getting the name from the user and the getting the name and the age from the user. Then next is it is going, that is the I plus 1 or I plus plus, it is going to next one. Now I becomes 1. 1 is less than equals to 3, condition is also true. Then again go to the manager 1 dot put data. Then at the next level, that is at the second level, it is again calling to the get data function and getting the name and the age from the user. Then at the third step, when I equals to 2, 2 is less than equals to 2 is less than 3, condition is true. Then again manager 2, at the second level of memory location, it gets the data from the user, that is the name and the age. Now I becomes 3, 3 is less than 3, condition is not true. So this loop will terminate and moves to the next one. So this will execute for 3 times, that is 0, 1 and 2. Then moves to the next line, that again using the I, then again using the size, that is from 0 to the size, that is a 0 is less than 3, then again manager as it is. Now it is calling the put data, so it will also execute, it will also iterate for the 3 times from 0, 1 and 2, and put data is calling, then simply display on the screen, that is the name and the age. So get data is used for taking or getting the data from the user, and put data is used to storing the data into the, or display the data on the screen, that is the name and the age, right? And then at last there is a return 0. So this means first of all the object will be created, that is of array size. Then there are 2 looping that is used, there are 2 for loop. One for loop is used for accessing the get data function, and one for loop is used for getting the put data function. So one is the get data and one is the put data. Why there is a return 0? Because the int main is used, the return type is int, that's why it's mandatory to use the return 0 in object oriented programming. And this is the closing braces, that is the closing braces of the int main, right? So this is the program that shows how to use the array. So first of all, it is define the class. There are 2 data members that are private part, and there are 2 member functions that are a public part. Then defining the each member function, that is the get data and the put data. Then using the value as a constant so that it will not change. Then simply use the object as an array. Now uses the for loop for the get data function, then uses the for loop for put data function. and there is a return 0. So then this is the output that is used, that is the interactive input. First of all, details of manager: enter the name, enter the age. For example, user enter the name as an XXX and there is a age 45. So this is the detail of the manager 1. And the details of manager 2, that is enter the name, that is YYY, and the age is 37, for example. Then manager 3 and the details are ZZZ. So I'm so sorry for it delay because there are some recorded session that is to be displayed for you, so that is the main concern. So don't worry, I will compromise by breaks. So this is the output, that is the details of the manager 1, manager 2, manager 3. It will display on the screen, right? Then there is a program output. This is the output that is given: manager 1 name XXX, manager 2 name YYY. This is displayed like this one. So this is the example of how to use the array of the objects. Now next is object as a function argument. That is how to use the object as a function arguments. So like any other data type, an object may be used as a function argument. This can be done in a two-way. So now how the object can be used as a function arguments. So first one is how it is used. First one is a copy of the entire sub object is passed to the function. That is, the entire object or the copy of the entire object is passed to the function. So how it is, or that is a concern how it is used as a function argument. Then only the address of the object is transferred to the function. That only the address that is given of the object that is transferred to the function. So first method is known as the pass by value function and second method is known as the pass by reference. So in first one, only the simple object, only the value will be passed for the each object, and the pass by reference, the address will be passed from one object to the another. That is, the address of an object is transferred to the function. This is an example that how it is used. There is a class time, then there are two private members, that is a data member that is used, and one is a public. Then there is a get time, getting the time, that is the hours equals to h, minutes equals to m. Then there is a put time that is used. So there is a put time that is used for this one. Then there is a put time that is used for displaying on the screen, that is the hours and the minutes. And there is a declaration with the object. So this function will be used as an, or this function will is the function declaration, or the function that is declared with the objects, that is the void sum time. So this is the these are the two objects that is created, that is the T1 and the T2. Now there is a int main, so the three objects are also created: T1, T2 and T3, and dot operator is used for getting the, or for opting, or for calling the get time function or the get time member function, right? Now next is friend function or the friendly function. This is the one of the important topic that is used. So listen carefully about this one. Suppose there is a requirement that the private members or non-member function cannot have access to a private data we have studied. But there are some scenarios when we would like two classes to share a particular function. There are some conditions when we like, or when we need two classes to share a particular function. So this is, we have been emphasizing throughout this chapter that the private members cannot be accessed from outside the class. So till now, from tomorrow's onwards, we have yesterday onwards, we have discussed that the private members cannot be accessed from outside the class. Only within the class it can be accessed. That is, the non-member function cannot have access to the private data of a class. However, there could be a situation where we would like two classes to share a particular function. For example, consider a class, or consider a case when two classes, that is the manager and the scientist, have been defined, right? We would like to use a function, that is the income text, to operate on the object of both these classes. That is, there are two classes, that is the manager and the scientist, and there is a single function, that is the income text. So that income text will be shared by both the classes, or will need to share by both the classes. In such a situation scenarios, C++ allows a common function to be made friendly. That is, the income text function should be made friendly so that it will be used by both the classes, that is the manager and the scientist. So this is the way how we can secure or how we can save the memory. Why? Because there is a single function that is defined that is shared by more than one classes. That means saving the memory or saving the memory space. So in such a case, in such scenarios, we have to use the friend function, that is the sharing of the same function to be by different classes. So thereby allowing the function or allows the function to have access to private data of these classes. Such a function need not be a member of any these classes. That is, there is no mandatory condition that the income tax need to be a member. No, there is no condition. That may be a different, that may be a same. To make a outside function, friend function to a class, we have to simply declare this function as a friend of that class that is given below. To make an outside function that is a friend to a class, we have to simply declare the function that is treated as a friend of the class that is given below. So there is a class that is a ABC, then there is a curly braces, then there is a data member, that is a private part, then there is a public member, that is a public data members or the public member functions, and there is a function that is declared, that is xyz, that we have declared of the friend type. Why? Because this xyz function will be shared by more than one classes. For example, it is used by ABC, in the same way it is used by xyz. That is, more than one classes or two classes, three classes, any n number of classes can use the friend function. So this is the declaration, how it is declared by using the keyword that is a friend. The function declaration should be preceded by the keyword friend. So only the keyword that is used, that is the friend. The function is defined elsewhere in the program like a normal C++ function. So it is defined elsewhere, that is it is defined anywhere in the program like a C++ function. The function definition does not use either the keyword friend or the scope resolution operator. That is, there is no requirement of the friend, or there is no requirement of the scope resolution operator. The functions that are declared with the keyword friend are known as the friend function. So if anyone can ask you the what is a friend function, so answer is, if we want to share the common function by different classes, or if more than one classes uses the same function, then we have to declare that function as a friend function so that it can be shared by multiple classes. And how it is defined? By using the keyword friend to the friend function. A function can be declared as a friend in any number of classes. A friend function, although not a member function, has full access rights to the private data member of the class. That is, although it's not a member function, but it has a full access rights to the private members of the class. Why? Because it is treated as a friend function, and it is common, or it is shared by multiple classes at the same time. Now, what are the various characteristics of the friend function? This is most important. Till now we discussed what is a friend function. Now, what are the various characteristics? Why it is very useful? So first of all, it is not in the scope of the class to which it is declared as a friend. So it is not mandatory that this is declared in ABC, so it is used by ABC only. No, it is declared in ABC, but it is a friend function, so it can be used by n number of classes. So this is one of the characteristics. Next feature is that it is not in the scope of the class. It cannot be called using the object of that class. So it is not in the scope of the class. It cannot be accessed by using the object. Now next, it can be invoked like a normal function without the help of an object. So it is not treated that it is a part of the class. No, it is treated as a normal function. So there is no requirement of the object. Next, unlike member functions, it cannot access the member names directly. So unlike member function, that is a not in the case of member function, it cannot access the member names directly, and has to use an object name and dot membership operator with each member name, for example a dot x. Now next is, it can be declared either in the public or the private part. So there is no foundation that it has to be accessed, so it is declared in the public part. No, it can be accessed or it can be declared either in the public part or the private part without affecting its meaning. So it is declared anywhere in the program. Usually it has the object as an argument. So usually means generally it has the various objects that is used as an argument. The friend functions are often used in operator overloading, which will be discussed later. So the friend function generally application is it is used in the operator overloading. So whenever we use the same operators at multiple instances, so that is the operator overloading, so friend function is used in those cases. Now this is the example of the friend function. See carefully. There is a class that is a sample that is defined. This is the header file as the same. There is a class sample, then there is the int a and the int b. So these are the two data members that is used. That is the int a and the int b. So these are the two data members, that is the private data members. And there are two public data member, that is a member function that is used. One is the set value, one is the friend function, that is a float mean, that is the return type is mean and the name of the function is mean. This is the void set data or the void set value, and it contains a equals to 25 and the b equals to 40. So it becomes the inline function, that is the definition is also given inside the class also, that is the a contains 25 and the b contains 40, right? Then there is a function that is a friend function that is used, that is mean is the name of the function and float is the return type, and it is also defined in this function only. That is also the inline function, that is a sample x. Now its class will be closed and there is a semicolon. Now the definition of the mean function, that becomes a friend function. There is the same, that is a float mean, then there is a sample s. Now return float s dot a plus s dot b divided by 2.0. So first of all, accessing the members by using the dot operator of the, or by using the object and the dot operator, that is the s dot a, that is the 25, then s dot b, that is the 40, then 25 plus 40, that is the 65, and then divided by 2.0. Why it is divided by 2.0 not 2? Because it is a float, so we have to give the return, we have to give the numbers in the decimal places, that is a 2.0. So this is float mean sample s, then return float s dot a plus s dot b divided by 2.0. Then int main, that is a main function that is used. Then there is a sample x. So there is a sample, that is a class name, and there is a x, that is the object. Then x dot set value. So when the object is used, the object member function will be called, that is a set value. So this way the cursor directly moves to this one, that is the a is, or 25 is assigned to the a and the 40 is assigned to the b. Then see out, this is written over here, that is the mean value is mean x, then there is a return 0. So what is the mean value? That is 32.5. How? Because 65 divided by 2, that is known as the, or that is that's the output is 32.5, right? So why it is given the mean x as this one? Because it is calling the member function, that is a friend function, that is the mean value. This is example of friend function. It simply shows that this is treated like a normal function that is used. That simply returns a value, not used as a any class, not as an object of any class, not that we cannot access the member variables of any class. No, but it is a friend function, it is a member function that is used. Now the friend function accesses the class variables a and b by using the dot operator. So this s will be used with the dot operator for accessing the members or data members, and the object passed to it. The function call mean x, so this is used as a mean x, passes the object s x by value to the friend function. Member functions of one class can be a friend function of another class. That is, a member function of one class can be a friend function of another class. There is no boundation that one member function is declared in one class that cannot become the friend function of another class. No, it can be friend class or it can be friend function of another class. In such a cases, they are defined using the scope resolution operator as shown below. So this is a class x, there is a int fun1, that is a member function. Now we have to make the fun1 as a friend function. So this is declared as a friend. Then int x, that is the x means the from which class it belongs to, that is from x class. And then there is a scope resolution operator, there is a fun1, that is a member function. So this becomes f1 is a normal function, that is a member function of x. Now it becomes the friend function of the x and the y both. So this says function is a member of class and the friend of y, as I said. So this is the function, or this is the example that shows how a function is related to different classes. That is how more than one classes is related, or how more than one classes uses the with different functions. So let's take a break for 10 minutes only, because there is a compromise break because the time we have already wasted. So let's take a break for 5 minutes or 10 minutes max to max, then move to this part, that is the example, that is how to define or how to make the friend function within the two classes. So let's take a break right now. So come back from the break, let's start the session again. So this is the example that shows how to use the friend function, or a common friend function that is used in two different classes, right? So there is a header file, that is the IOStream, there is a namespace std, then there is a class, that is a abc. So that is a forward declaration. That is a forward declaration means, in this example, or there are some scenarios in which we have predefined that we have to use the two classes. For example, in this we have to define, or we have predefined that there are two classes that is used. One is the abc, one is the xyz. So abc, that is a forward declaration. Then there is a class xyz, that is the next part. So this is a declaration. Why, how I know this is a declaration? Because semicolon is used, so this is known as the declaration. That is a class abc. Then class xyz, one more class is defined. So it is defined in the later on, or the later part, but it is declared first of all. Now there is a class xyz that is defined over here only. So this is the private member, or private data member, the private part, that is a int x. Then there is a public, that is a public member that is used, that is publicly it is defined in two functions. One is the set value, that is the void set value. So set value is the name of the function that is used, and that has a return type void. And then it is it is a argument that is used as a int I, that is I is the name of the variable that is of integer type. Then it is defined in that part only, that is that makes the function as a inline function, that is x equals to 1. So this is x equals to 1, that means x has a value 1. Now there is a friend function that is used. So how I know this is a friend function? Because the keyword friend is used. This is the return type, that is a void, and the name of the function is max function. And there are two classes that is defined. One is the xyz, one is the abc. So in the parenthesis, instead of the argument, it is defined as the two classes name, that is the xyz and the abc. Why it is, or what is the meaning? Why we are defining this one? Because we have to use the classes, or the friend function is common to both the classes, that is the xyz and the abc. So that's the main reason why it is not given in the argument, or why it is given as a prototype, that is the xyz and the abc, right? This is friend, void, max, xyz and abc. Now this is the closing curly braces, and there is a semicolon. So this has a class that has, or this is the class xyz that has one data member, that is a x, that is a private, two functions. One is a simple member function, that is that can be accessed by within the class. One is declared as a friend function, so that it can be accessed from by anywhere outside the class, inside the class, that is anywhere. That is a public part. There is a closing curly braces, and there is a semicolon, right? Now we have already defined the abc earlier, that is a declare the earlier, not define earlier. It is declared earlier. Now it is a defined over here, that is a class abc. First of all, there is a data member, that is a int a. So this is the private by default, that is a int a. Then public void set value int I, a equals to I. That is again the same class, the same member function, because it is of xyz, it is of abc. So there is a void set value int I, then a equals to I, that is I value is assigned to the a. In this, the I value is assigned to the x. Then there is a same friend function is used, because the same friend function, why? Because max is a function that is shared by both the classes, that is the xyz and the abc, the same as we defined it over here. Then this is the closing of abc, and there is a semicolon of abc. So this is the class that is used. Now Class definition or the friend function definition is given over here. There is a void max, this is void max, right? Then xyzm, that is m is the object of the class xyz and n is the class object of the class abc. So one object of each class is used. One is the xyz has the object m and the n is the object of the abc. Then it is used as a used as an if condition, that is if m dot x, that is the m is the name of the object and it is accessed by using the dot operator, that is dot x, that is the x value. So accessing the x value with the help of the m. This is the x value that is given by the user and this is the a value that is also given by the user. So if the x value that can be accessed by using the object m and the a value that can be accessed by using the object n. So if m dot x and the n dot x, so there are two values. If m dot x is greater than equals to, so if it is more than equals to n dot a, so this is the comparison, this is the condition that is used. Then see out m dot x. So if it is greater, then see out or printed the greater one, that is the x value. If it is not greater than this one, so printed the next value, that is n dot a. So whatever the condition, that will be printed the largest value. So this is the checking the condition. Either x is more than a. This condition will be checked by using the object of different classes, that is the m dot x and the n dot a. Now there is a int main function. So till now we have defined two classes, that is xyz and abc, and two member function that is also used. And this is the definition of a friend, that is a max xyz m abc n. Then m checking the condition that there is a int main, then there is a abc, that is abc is the name of the class and this is the object, that is the abc. Then using the dot operator it is used, that is abc dot set value and there is a value that is a 10. Then xyz, that is this is also a class and the object name is xyz. Then again access the value, that is x dot set value 20. Now when this declaration or when this function is calling, then it directly moves the cursor to this one. So in I or in x the value is 10, right? And then xyz dot set value, so here the a has a value 20. So it is checking the condition, 10 is more than 20. No, condition is not true. So what's the value that is printed? That is a 20 value. Then max xyz abc, that is a max function is calling, that is a friend function, so it is used over here. So it is the C++ that is calling from the top, bottom to the top. So first of all this is used, then this is used for setting the values, then this is used for setting the values or assigning the values, then uses a max function that is treated like a friend function that is used for the comparison operators, then there is a return 0. So what is the output? That is a 20. So this is the function, this is the program that shows how friend function is used, or what is the usage of friend function and how it is used in more than one classes. So this is the example. The function max has argument from both xyz and the abc. This is the argument from both xyz and the abc. When the function max is declared as a friend in xyz for the first time, the compiler will not acknowledge the presence of abc unless its name is changed in the beginning, as this one. There is a class abc. This is known as the forward declaration. So it's mandatory to forward or declare the abc class. This is the abc class that is declared. As pointed out earlier, a friend function can be called by reference. It can also be called by the reference. In this case, local copies of the objects are not made. Instead, a pointer to the objects of the object or address of the object is passed and the call function directly works on the actual objects that is used in the call. This method can be used to alter the values of the private members of a class. Remember, altering the value of a private member is against the basic principles of data hiding. That is, whenever we alter the values of private member, it is against the basic principles of the data hiding. It should be used only when absolutely necessary. This is the program that shows how to use a common friend function to exchange the public value or the private values of two classes. That is known as call by reference. And this is another example, that is swapping the private data of classes. That is how to swap. Swap means how to interchange private data of classes or private members of a class. So first of all, the same header file, that is iostream name space std, then there is a class, that is the name of the class is class 2, then class 1. So this is simply declaring the class. This is the definition of the class, right? So one is the simple the data member, that is a private data member, that is a value 1. Then there is a public. So there are three functions that is used, member functions. One is the in data, one is the display, one is the exchange. And exchange is done or declare as a friend function. So that is friend void exchange class 1 ampersand class 2 ampersand. Now this is class 2, that is the definition of class 2. That is int value 2, and there are publicly it is declared in a three part, that is int data or display and the void exchange, same. But here value 1, value 2, and the friend function is exactly the same. Now exchanging the data by using the reference, by using the address. How I know this is the address? Because this is the address of operator. That is void exchange class 1 ampersand x class 2 ampersand y. Then int temp equals to x dot value 1, that is taking the value 1 or by using the or by fetching the value 1 by using the dot operator and the x argument object of the class 1. Then it is stored in the temp variable for the time being. Then the value 2 is stored in the value 1, because now value 1 becomes empty because its value is already stored in the temp. Now the value 2 is stored in the value 1. Then the temp value that contains the value 1 is stored in the value 2. So automatically it swaps the value. Then there is a int main, that is the two variables are declared. One is the C1 and the C2. C1 is used for taking the input or calling the input data, that is the input function. So it assigns the value of value 1 to the 100 and the value 2 as a 200, because this is value 2, that is a 200. Then see out values before exchanging. So before exchanging, what's the value? That is C1 dot display, C2 dot display. Then there is the exchange, that is C1 and the C2. So there is the exchange, that is the swapping function that is used, that is exchange function. So this is the exchange function that is used, that is class 1 x class 2 y. This is the swapping function. And this is C1 dot display, C2 dot display. So this is after exchanging. What is the value? That is the display function that is used, simply prints the value of value 2 and simply prints the value of value 1. Then there is a return 0. So this is the case how it is used. This is the output. Values before exchange 100 200, values after exchange 200 100. That is swapping the values from one part to another, that is interchanging the values. Now a becomes or the value becomes 200 and 100. Next is returning the object, that is how to return the objects. So a function cannot only receive object as an argument but can also can return them. That it cannot only receive the object as an argument but also can return them. The example in figure 5.11 illustrates how an object can be created, that how the object can be created within a function and how it is returned to another function. This is hash include iostream, then namespace, then complex. So this is the complex class that is used. This is the example that shows how to return the object. That is returning the object. That is return object also have some return values or return type. So this is float x and the float y. So what is a complex number? That contains the real and the imaginary part. The real part is a part that is of integer value, and imaginary part is a part that is of integer or the imaginary part. So one is the float x, that is the real part, one is the imaginary part, that is a float y. Then there is a public, then there is a void input float real, float imaginary. That is two arguments are used, one is the real, one is the imaginary, and the name of the function is input, and the real value is stored in the x and the imaginary value is stored in the y. This is the input function. Now declare the complex function as a friend function, that is a friend complex sum complex complex. Then void show complex, and there is a closing curly braces and there is a semicolon. Now complex sum complex C1 complex C2. So this is defined the complex function, that is the sum function, that is the C1 and the C2. Now object will be created C3. Now accessing the values of x and accessing the values of C2 by x, and it is stored in the C3.x. In the same way C1.y and the C2.y, it is stored in the C3.y. Now it is using the show function, declaring the show function, simply showing the x and the y values. Then int main, this is complex ABC, that is declaring the object, that is A, B and C, and getting the input, getting the data, and storing the function, calling the function. This is the output, how it is used. Right. This is the real part and this is the imaginary part. Now next is constant member function, that is how to use the constant member function, or how we are declaring the constant member function. So if a member function do not or does not alter any data in the class, so if a member function, that is a function that we have declared, does not alter any data in a class, then we may call it as a constant member function. If it alter the class any data, that is not called as the constant member function. But if it cannot alter the data in the class, it can be used or it can declare as a constant member function as shown below. This is the void mul int constant. Then double get balance constant. The qualifier constant, that is the qualifier means the keyword constant is appended to the function prototype in both declaration and the definition. The compiler will generate an error message if such function tries to alter the data values. So constant is used, that is a constant member function, that data cannot alter in the class, that is its data cannot be altered in the class. Now next is pointer to the member, that is how to use the pointers as a member function, that is how to define the member functions as a or data members as a pointer variable in case of class. So it is possible to take the address of a member of a class and assign it to a pointer. So it is also possible to take the address and assign to the pointer. The address of a member can be obtained by applying the operator ampersand to a fully qualified class member name. So it is we can also define the address by using the pointer variables. For example, this says a class member pointer can be declared using the this operator. So how it will be used as a pointer? By using the scope resolution, and there is a asterisk sign, that is a scope resolution and the asterisk with the class name. For example, this is given in the class. There is a class A, then there is a private, that is a private data member, that is the M. And then there is a public, that is a void show, that is a member function that is used. This is the content of the class A. Now we can define a pointer to the member M, because this is a member, so we can define the pointer by using this one. There is a return type, there is a class name. Now this is the pointer or the address operator of the pointers. This is scope resolution asterisk, and there is a IP. IP is the name of the pointer. Then it is equals to ampersand A scope resolution M. The IP pointer created therefore acts like a class member in that it must be invoked with the class object. In the statement above, the phrase this one, that is A scope resolution and asterisk, means pointer to a member of a class. The phrase ampersand AM means that the address of the M member of a class, that is address of the M, that is whatever the address of M, that is a member of the A class. Remember, the following statement is not valid. This is not valid. Why? Because this is defined as, or we are passing the value as a ampersand A, because M is not simply an integer type data. So it is not simply an integer type data. It has different meaning in C, it has different meaning in C++. So these are the various codes how this will be used. That is how the member variable will be used. As IP will be used. So this is the structure. This is the syntax how it will be used as an object name, or how we will define the object name as a pointer variable. This is pointer object name dot pointer to member function, then object to point, or object pointer to object, then point to member function. The precedence of this one, that is a parenthesis, is higher than that of the this one, that is a asterisk. This is the example. First of all, there is a header file, then there is a class M, that is a class M has been declared, and there are two data members, one is the X, one is the Y. So there are two data members that is defined, that is a private part, then there is a public, there is a member function that is used, that is a set xy, and there are two arguments that is used, two values that will be used as an argument, one is the A, one is the B. Now assigning the A into the X and assigning the B into the Y, that is X is equals to A and the Y equals to B. Then the friend function is used, that is the friend int sum mm. Then this will be defined as a simply declare the function, then int sum mm, this is the definition. It is used the pointers over here, that is the int pointer, this is the address operator, then px equals to assign the values of m into the px. In the same way, py into the y. Then int main, that is using the pointer by calling the pointer functions. Now next is local classes, that is what is a local class. Next part is the local classes, that is how to become the, or how to become the class as a local class, that is local classes. So classes can be defined and used inside a function or a block. So we can define the class inside the function or within the block also, that is a local classes. So whenever we declare the class inside a function or inside a block, that is known as a local classes. Such classes are known as local classes. For example, this is the function, that is a void test int a. So that is a test that is used, then void test, that is a return type, and the name of the function is test, and there are argument list, that is a int a. Then within the curly braces it is used, there is a class object. So a class has been defined inside the test function, that is a class student, that is a local class, and there is a class definition. Then there is a closing curly braces, there is a curly braces, and there is a semicolon. Then there is a student s1a, that is create the student object, then use the student object. Local class can use global variables. That is, the local classes can use the global variable that is declared above the function and the static variable that is declared outside the function, but cannot use the automatic local variables or automatic local variable. The global variable should be used with the scope resolution operator. So whatever the global value that can be used, that is used with the scope resolution operator. There are some restrictions in constructing the local classes. What are the restrictions? What are the various foundations of the local classes? First of all, they cannot have static members and member functions that must be defined inside the local classes. That is, there cannot be, or there are not any classes, or there are no any data members, not any member function that is defined inside the local classes. Enclosing function cannot access the private members of a local class. However, we can achieve this by declaring the enclosing function as a friend function. So this limitation can also be removed, that we cannot define the classes, or we cannot share, or we cannot access the private member. But this limitation can be removed by using the function, by using the friend function basically, right? Now, summary. That is a summary of this chapter. So we are finished with this chapter finally. There are 2 days that is covering this chapter, because this is a lengthy chapter and this is one of the base chapter of this C++, because in this we have studied what is class, how the class has been declared, what is array, what is the object, how to declare the object, how to declare the array of object. So this is just a base chapter, and this is a lengthier chapter because there are total 5.19, that is a 19 topics in a one chapter. Wow. So let's start with a summary so that you could recall each and everything. First of all, it says a class is an extension of the structured data type. A class can have both the variable and the function as a members. So it is just an extension. Why it is known as extension? Because we have already studied C and we have already studied the structure. So it is just extension because structure is also user defined and the class is also user defined. That contains both the variable and the functions as a members. Next point says by default members of the class are private, whereas that of the structure are public. So by default the members of the class that is given as a, or that is declared as a members, declared as a private, whereas that of the structure are the public. That is, by default if I say in a class every member is a private, and by default in a structure every member is a private, public. Why it is public? Because it can be accessed by anyone from anywhere, but the members of the class cannot be easily be accessed by anyone or from anywhere, right? Next point says only the member functions can have access to the private data members and private functions. That is, a member function can only deal with the private data members and the member functions. However, the public members can be accessed from outside the class. Then next point says in C++ the class variables are known as objects. With objects we can access the public members of a class using the dot operator. Next point says we can define the member functions inside or outside the class. That is, there is no foundation that we have to define the member functions inside the class. No, we can define the member functions either inside the class or outside the class. The difference between a member functions and a normal function is that a member function uses a membership identity label in the header to indicate the class to which it belongs. That is, it defines there is a differentiate between the member function and the normal function. What is the main difference? That is, it uses a label that is a membership identity label that is either public, protected and the private. Then the next point is the memory space for the object is allocated when they are declared. So the memory space is allocated for each and every object when they are declared. Space for member variables is allocated separately for each object, but no separate space is allocated for member functions. Next point says a data member can be declared as static and it is initialized to 0 when it is first declared, and its value is remain common to for each and every operation, or for its value is common to the entire class. The next point says the static member variable must be defined outside the class. The next point says a static member function can have access to the static members that is declared in the same class and can be called using the class name. Then C++ allows us to have array of objects. The next point says we may use object as a function arguments. So we can also use the object as a function arguments. Then a function that is declared as a friend is not in the scope of the class to which it has been declared as a friend. It has full access to the private members of the class. The next point says a function can also return an object. That is, a function can also return an object. Then if a member function does not alter any data in the class, then we may declare it as a constant member function. Because its value is constant, its value does not change. It can be declared as a constant member functions. The keyword constant is appended to the function prototype. That is, it is used or it is appended, that is the adding in the function prototype. That is the const as a keyword. Last is it is also possible to define and use a class inside a function. So C++ also provides a provision to define the class within the function or within the another class that is known as the local class. So such a class is known as the local class. These are the various key terms that is used in this, like private, public, protected, struct, class. Not protected right now, but we have discussed or we will discuss. Now this is one of the important questions. These are the question answer. How the C++ structures differ from the class structure. As I told you, in summary point of view points also, in the yesterday's class also, by default the structure members are public and by default the class members are private. I am repeating again, in a class by default the members are private. In a structure by default the members are public. In structure, public members by default, class, private members by default. Then what are objects? How are they created? So object is a variable of the class, and how they are created by using simply the class name and there is an object name. For example, ABC is the name of the class, so the object name is S1. So ABC S1 dot comma S2 dot comma S3. And any n number of objects we can create it by using the class. That is, n number of objects can be created of the same class. Now, how is a member function defined? It is defined inside the class definition or outside the class definition. When do we declare a member of a class static? Whenever we initialize to 0, whenever we want the value does not change throughout the program, then we declare the program, or when we declare the class as in static. Now these are the various true-false questions that is used. A C point says a function that is designed as a public can be expressed like any other ordinary function. So any function that is designed as a public can be accessed like any other ordinary function. Classes can bring together all aspects of an entity in one place. That is, classes can bring together each and every aspect of an entity. That is, it contains the data member, member function into a one place. That is, it contains the data member and the member functions. Then class members are public by default. So by default the class members are publics. These are the members, not the member functions. Now debugging, that is how exercises that is identify the error in this one. These are the various questions that is for your practice. Practice them, and please, if there is any doubt, then please refers to me so that I will clear the doubts. I am fond of clearing the doubt, but there are no doubts from your point of view. There are nothing. Means we have covered 3 topics, 3 modules, but there is no solely doubt that comes. I don't know why, but please focus on this programming. Now this is the programming exercises. These are the various exercises of programming. There are total 5 questions. Yes, 5 questions, 5.5. All right. That is next chapter, that is the constructors and destructors. That is how to use the constructor, what is the meaning of constructor, what is the meaning of destructors. So there is no time left, only 10 minutes left, so there is no usage of starting the new chapter right now. So I think we have to finish this session right now. From Monday onwards, because tomorrow is Saturday and Sunday, day after tomorrow, so that is a weekend. So after weekend, that is on Monday, we will start this chapter, that is chapter number 6, that is constructors and destructors. Alright, so let's stop the session over here only. If there is any doubt, suggestions, you can call me, you can ask from me with the chat, with the text, anything with the live chat. So please focus on the programming, try to understand the concepts, and if there is any silly error, silly doubts, you can ask the doubts from me. So thanks a lot everyone. Hello Joseph, how are you? Good afternoon. Yes, tell me Joseph. Yeah, tell me Joseph. Okay, thanks a lot. Mhm. Mm. Yeah, this is Balaguru Swami book. Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 So I have an option. So can we start the practical part also with the Turbo C? So we will start from Monday onwards. 1 hour theory, 1 hour practical. That's why, yeah, that's why Joseph, I am fond of the questions. If no question arises, no teacher will help you. If the question arises, I will definitely help you from Monday. But no one, if no one show the interest, then how the teacher help you? Understand? So from Monday onwards, 1 hour theory and 1 hour practical, no issues. Good, very good. Okay. Yeah, your assess. Yes, I've prepared one assignment for the C language, but there are some errors on that assignment because that is not up to your logic. I've given one question related to the while loop, if loop, but the Edexcel team concerned that there are two questions, three questions. So that will be prepared, that will be in processing. If that will finalized, I will share with you. Okay. Means, what do you mean? I'm not getting your question. SSR. Okay. No, no, no. I don't get your question. Um, for 1 week. First of all, me and then Edexcel. There are two verifiers. Okay. First of all, internal level, then external level. All right. Any other doubts? Okay. So from Monday onwards, we will be taking 1 hour theory, 1 hour practical, so that your concepts are clear and the session is no boring session. Okay. Thanks a lot, Joseph. Bye bye.